All right, let's get right into it. There's a huge question on everyone's mind, especially if you're building a career right now. What actually leads to success in 2026? Is it that fancy degree you hang on the wall? Or is it the skills you can actually use? We're going to break down what's really going on out there.
And we're going to start with, well, a pretty bold statement. I mean, think about it. This belief has been drilled into us for generations, right? But things have completely changed. That whole idea that a degree is some kind of golden ticket to success, honestly, it's becoming a pretty dangerous myth to believe.
So here's the deal. A degree isn't useless, not at all. But think of it more like your ticket to get into the amusement park. It doesn't mean you get to go on all the rides. We're seeing it everywhere, right? Graduates with amazing degrees who are totally stuck, while other folks, some without any degree at all, are absolutely crushing it. The difference? They've got something more than just that piece of paper. And this right here, this sums up the massive shift perfectly. The conversation you're having with employers has totally flipped. It used to be all about your academic background. Where did you go to school? But now it's all about what you can do, what you can build. They're not just asking about your past anymore. They want to know what value you can bring to their future.
Which brings us to, honestly, the most valuable job title you can have today, a problem solver. This is what companies are actually hiring for in 2026. They don't care about framing your certificate on their office wall. No, they need people who can walk in the door, see a problem, and just build a solution. It's all about getting real results.
Okay, so how do you become that problem solver? Well, it really starts with these skills. If you've got coding chops, if you get AI, if you can build websites and apps, or if you know your way around automation, look, you're not just qualified at that point. You are literally ahead of 70% of the other graduates out there. These are the skills that scream, I can build things.
Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff, but before we go any further on what to do, we have to talk about what not to do. A lot of students, really smart students, end up failing. And it's not because they're not smart enough, it's because they fall into these super common traps. And trust me, knowing what these traps are is just as important as knowing the right path.
All right, let's break these down. First mistake, believing class is enough. Big mistake. Class gives you a map, but you still have to drive the car. Second, chasing certificates instead of building projects. That's like getting your driver's license and then just never driving. What's the point? Third, copying, pasting code without actually understanding it. You learn absolutely nothing that way. Fourth, wasting time and making excuses. The I'll get to it tomorrow trap. That is a total career killer. And finally, number 5, comparing yourself to everyone else. Seriously, it's the fastest way to kill your own motivation. And this quote, man, this just hits the nail on the head. You see what all those traps have in common? They're all passive. You're just sitting there, attending, collecting, copying. You can't just show up and expect things to happen for you. The world of tech, maybe more than any other field out there, rewards action. It rewards what you do and what you build.
Okay, so enough about what not to do. Let's flip this around. Let's talk about what actually works. What are the successful people doing? What are those habits and mindsets that take them from just learning stuff to building an actual career? And you'll see, it's pretty much the exact opposite of those failure traps. The people who make it, they are all about proactive habits. We're talking daily practice, right? Building real-world projects so you actually have something to show people. Committing to learning on your own so you're always ahead of the curve. And this last one is huge. Always asking why, not just how. That's the difference between being a code monkey and being an architect, a real problem solver. Now, I know all this can sound a little abstract, like, yeah, easy for you to say. So let's make it real. Let's look at an actual story of someone who is exactly where you might be right now, a totally confused student, and see how this all played out for them.
So, this person's journey started from a place of major doubt. I mean, everyone around them was saying things like, oh, IT is way too difficult, or you'll never make it in that field. All that negativity. I bet that sounds pretty familiar to some of you, doesn't it?
But here's the turning point. It all came down to a simple choice. While everyone else was, scrolling through their phones or just waiting for some magical motivation to hit them, this person was learning. They were building, even when they were tired, even when it felt impossible. It was those small daily actions that just started to add up. And the result of all that consistent work, a total transformation. From a confused student filled with self-doubt to an actual AI solution builder. Someone who doesn't just read about AI, but who builds with it. I mean, that is the power of choosing to act instead of just waiting around.
And you know what's so important to get here? This didn't happen because they came from money or went to some fancy university. Nope. It came down to these 4 things: discipline, just showing up day after day, a real focus on skills, patience, you got to trust the process, and maybe most importantly, that belief in yourself that you can actually do it.
All right, let's wrap this all up. We've talked about the big problem, we've talked about the traps to avoid, and we've talked about the path that actually works. So what's the one thing, the big game changer you need to take away from all of this?
And here it is, the final truth, broken down into 3 simple parts. Your degree, think of that as your backup plan, your safety net. Your skills, that's your power. That's what lets you actually do things and get results. But your mindset, that is the real game changer. It's the thing that makes everything else work.
Now let me be super clear about this. I'm not telling you to drop out of college. Not at all. The message here is to think of your education as the foundation, but not the whole house. So yeah, get the degree, but you better be spending just as much energy, maybe even more, on building the actual skills that are going to make that degree worth something. So if you've been kind of lost, or you're just wondering where to even begin, this is it. This is your sign. The time for just sitting back and waiting is over. So there's really only one question left to ask yourself. What are you going to build first?